So good evening, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to the Flying Start Masterclass. I would like to say a big thank you to Annette, who's co-hosting and just letting all of you in. Please feel free to use the chat and say hello. Let us know where you are. Is anybody in any exotic locations this evening? If so, we want to know. That would be absolutely amazing. And I have got a very packed hour for you all. So first of all, absolutely warm welcome to you all. Thank you for joining me this evening. I hope that you're going to find this hour really useful. We've got about 40 people here so far. There is well over 100 registered, but I know lots and lots of people were saying, please record. So we are recording. So if you are watching this on catch up, well done for being here and well done for watching this training. So tonight we are going to look at a few things. Firstly, we're going to look at why some partners get started and seem to fly in the business. And why some partners join and disappear. If anybody's ever had a new partner disappear, put that in the chat. Put disappeared, gone, ghosted, gone, can't find them anymore, don't know where they've gone. It happens. If you're brand new on this training tonight, so if you are a new partner, I'm hoping that this is going to help you as well with some of the things that we're going to discuss around mindset, etc., etc. So we're going to look at why some partners fly, why some people disappear and quit. We're going to look at some mindset issues as to why people do stop in their first few days. I'm going to give you a load of hints and tips and good processes for helping people get started, which I hope is going to help you all. And then right at the end, I'm just going to talk to you just for a couple of minutes about my academy that I'm running about mindset. So I think most of you on here know me, but this recording is going to go out to the well over 100 people that have registered, and there was definitely some new names there. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes introducing myself to those that don't. So my name's Celia Gadd, as you know, and I have been sort of in business for myself, really, since I was 16. So I actually ran away from school pretty much when I was 15, didn't like it, wanted to set up my own businesses, was passionate about horses, and that's what I spent the next 25 years doing. But I was running my own businesses from the age of 18. So I, just had this sort of vision of what I wanted to do and ran a few riding schools, competition centres, riding clubs, things like that. And basically taught hundreds of people riding and coaching with their horses. And I also trained hundreds of horses. So spent, a lot of years really, really following my passion and absolutely loving it. Around 1998, I won't say how old I was then, I'm not sure actually, but in 1998, I was 30, I had this other idea that I wanted to set up a magazine. I'd always liked writing. So I launched a magazine from home as well. So I was sort of selling advertising, taking photos, going around interviewing riders and all that sort of stuff. And that was amazing. I did that for about 10 or 15 years. And then when I got to the age of 41, having become a mum quite late in life, so I had my daughter when I was 39, I realised, now there's some stories in this for you when you're thinking about recruiting, because you will come across people, definitely, in their early 40s, who are at that point in life when they think, what am I going to do now? So I was at that stage in life where I realised I was just swapping time for money. I was having to do a lot of hours in order to sort of sustain my lifestyle. And as a mum, I was struggling to do that. So I was looking for something different. And I have to say, if you're new in the business or if you're just getting started, me being introduced to UW was absolutely the best thing, that could have happened. I was introduced via an email from somebody I didn't know, and he was a retired policeman. He showed me the opportunity, and I thought, do you know what? Fancy making money out of helping people save money. That looks like a really good idea. Long story short, I just got stuck in. I really enjoyed the concept of it. And since 2009, when I joined, so 17 years I've been in the business now, I've sort of climbed my way, if you like, to Senior Group Leader 1-star. I've had a lot of life stuff happen to me as it happens to everybody. So some of the traits that we're going to talk about in partners tonight, you'll recognize some of these bits in yourself, particularly those of you that have been around and in the business for quite a long time. If you're a new partner looking at this evening, you might think, oh, is that me? Or maybe that's something I need to work a bit harder on. You're gonna have lots of thoughts as we go through this training. Annette's still on the waiting room. Thank you. If you're just joining me, welcome. I've just done a little intro and I'm going to dive straight in. So if you haven't yet seen the masterclass I did a couple of months ago, which was recruiting and team building, I would say watch that, because that will be a very good prerequisite to this training. And I'm going to share that recording with all of you when I share this one. All right. So when I send you all the recording of this, anyone that's registered for this tonight will also get the recording of the recruiting and team building, because I would definitely recommend you go and watch that, because that will tie in very nicely to this training. So tonight isn't so much about recruiting, although it is. There's some bits about recruiting in it. But it's very much about what do we do when we get that new partner in our teams? How are we going to keep them in? How are we going to get them started? So first simple question to all of you is, why is it that some new partners fly? You know, they just join and they take off and they're absolutely, you know, smashing the business, and they're getting customers, getting partners. And yet other people seem to just disappear. Or you could ask yourself, why is it that some partners have a great record of getting people started? You know, there are lots of leaders now get sort of churning out these QD stars. You know, they're doing a fantastic job of that. Whereas again, other people find they recruit and then they just disappear. So we're going to just have a little bit of a dive into that. Andy, we won't take questions for a minute, all right? I'm going to just do that at the end. Oh, sorry, I thought you were waving at me. So if anybody has any questions, sort of try and make a note of them, and we'll keep them to the end, otherwise, because I've got quite a lot to go through, otherwise it will take forever. So having studied this, you know, for several years, I think there are a few really key reasons why some people get off to a good start and some people don't. And so I'm just going to run through those with you. Some of you will be very familiar with this. I always say, if you hear me say something and think, oh, I already know that, ask yourself the question, do all my team know that? Okay, because to be successful in this business, it's not just about you having the knowledge, it's about you learning to teach to teach. So, you know, still, you know, be aware of it and think, do my team know that? So number one thing about getting partners started really well is quite simply, are you fishing in the right pond? All right, so what do I mean by that? I think while I am a strong believer that everybody deserves a chance, you know, and we should offer this business to absolutely everybody, there is without doubt certain people that are going to have a better chance of starting well. And just make sure, ask yourself this question when you're recruiting: are you recruiting up or are you recruiting down? So what I mean by that is, we all have a sort of comfort layer of people that we don't mind talking to. And it's normally people that we perceive to be, if there was such a thing as social steps, we perceive them to be a little bit lower than us. So, you know, the opposite of our chicken list. We tend to talk to people that we feel very comfortable talking to, that we feel we can give them the knowledge. We feel that we are more of an expert than them in lots of things. Okay, so that's called slightly recruiting down, rather than pushing ourselves to go and talk to those people that might be more professional. They might have bigger networks. They might have a bigger standing in the community, because we feel a little bit worried about doing that. All right, so fishing in the right pond means go and give yourself the best chance of getting a partner off to a good start by thinking about where you find them in the first place. All right, and what type of person they are. So that's point number one. Point number two, very simply, is despite the fact that we all have the same company, the same products, the same services, the same opportunity, the same tools to share, in some respect, the same training from head office, everybody comes to our business with a completely different set of baggage. Okay, so when a new partner joins, yes, we can offer them everything. We can give them the training. They've got an amazing company, but they come with a different set of life experiences. For example, if somebody's had a bad experience in network marketing before, you're going to have a harder job to teach them that this is a different business model and that they can do it. If they've started their own business and failed before, they're going to be lacking confidence. You know, just if they are a person that hasn't been well supported through their network, they're going to have a lack of confidence. People all come in with a different mindset, don't they? There are people that are glass half empty and there are people that are glass half full. And if they come in already on the negative side, they're going to be harder to coach and get going. And everybody, totally me included, and everybody that's listening to this call, Annette, there's someone in the waiting room. I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah, sorry, thank you. Everyone that's on this call also has their own self-limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behaviours. Because we all do. You know, that fear of what other people think of us, that imposter syndrome. Sometimes there's all sorts of things that come up. And if you are dealing with somebody and bringing somebody into the business who has a very shaky belief in themselves, they are going to find it more difficult. And of course, everybody that joins the business has a different set of contacts, and they also have a different relationship with those contacts. All right, so I just want to give you the picture here. So it's fair to say everyone has the same opportunity, but not everybody comes in with the same baggage. And again, I don't think we always respect that enough. I don't think we always realize that enough with our new partners. Number 3 thing as to how this person's going to get going or not is, what is your relationship with the person that you've recruited? So for example, if it's somebody that already knows you and they know, like, and trust you, they are much more likely to go through the more uncomfortable bits at the beginning of the business. Even if they don't know you, but you're, say, connected on social media and you've done a good job of your social media, so you've shown them an inspiring journey and they've seen you through that, they will feel like they know you. Again, they're more likely to go through those difficult stages. If you are recruiting people that you don't know, people off a cold list, people that have answered an advert, as many of us are, you have to get much better at building rapport, about sharing the vision, and about educating people and giving them confidence in you that you can help them. All right. Now, if you're brand new and you're thinking, well, I haven't got the cold leads yet, and I haven't yet built my social media journey because I'm just starting, I promise you, when you're absolutely brand new, you have the best opportunity ever for building your business, because what you do have is a fresh list and excitement and enthusiasm. All right. So it's really important that you make the most of that. So if you are new and you're listening to this, please let your mentor help you and go and share properly with your list. All right, because it's the best opportunity you'll ever have. The next best opportunity you'll have is when you earn your first decent money, okay, your first decent commission, and you go and share that with everybody you know. And then later on, when you can show your lifestyle and your passive income and all of that, then that's also a great opportunity. But don't underestimate your first month or so in the business. And if you've been in a while but you haven't got going yet, you can treat today as day one. All right, so you can treat today as day one and we can get you started from scratch. That's absolutely fine. Okay, number 4 reason why some people get going better, quicker, whatever, than others is quite simple, really. It's about the character traits of that person. And this is something that you might be able to get a feel of. And also, when I talk about some of these character traits, someone might come in mind that who has these traits, and maybe you haven't shared the opportunity with them yet. So if that's the case, make sure you do. So number 1 thing is, how clear is this person on their goals? So when someone joins the business, do they know why they've joined the business? Do they have a really clear reason for wanting to earn the money, whether it's upfront money now or whether it's the long-term passive? Have you spoken to them about that? Have you shown them your vision of what you can help them achieve? Another reason that they may be good at the business, or also this could be a problem for them, is how willing are they to step outside of their comfort zone? Because we know that you do have to step out your comfort zone to build this business. And it's also understanding where their comfort zone is. Because I've spoken about this to some of you won't have heard this before. So we live in our comfort zone, okay? So your comfort zone is the little place where you feel comfortable. You're operating on a daily basis, feeling comfortable doing your stuff. Just outside your comfort zone is a stretch zone. A stretch zone is where most people are sort of prepared to go if they're shown the way and if they think it's worth it, all right? So they'll stretch into their stretch zone, maybe on a daily basis if we can teach them to. Outside of the stretch zone is the freak out zone. It's the panic zone. It's the, oh my God, I'm going to die if I do this, all right? Now, if you push a new partner from their comfort zone to their freak out zone without realizing it, you will lose them, all right? So interesting for you to find out, how willing are they to stretch their comfort zone, and where is that zone? How resilient are they? Resilience is such a strong, necessary trait to be really successful in our business. Sadly, these days, a lot of people aren't very resilient. One puff and they're gone. So again, it's learning to feel this, and also learning to explain this to people. How coachable are they? Coachable is key. Some of you will have seen an amazing guy who's been promoted to team leader today. Sully, I know you'll probably be watching this. You might even be on here. But the thing about Sully, he's a really experienced salesperson. He's got really good connections and contacts, but he's also super coachable. You know, he's been asking me step by step all the way through the way how to build his team, what he should be doing with his team, how to do his structure. And that is absolutely key, because if someone thinks they know it all, even if they've got amazing contacts and amazing confidence, they're not going to build as quick as they could if they won't be coachable. And quite simply, the last one, how hungry are they? How much do they want it? Okay, now, hungry, not starving is a good idea, because when people are starving, they're desperate. And starving, desperate people don't tend to make good partners in the beginning, because people can feel and smell their fear and their desperation. All right, so you want someone that's hungry, you want someone that's ambitious, you want someone that's willing to go out there, stretch out their comfort zone and get going. Okay, so that's just a few reasons why some people are going to come in and just be a little bit better than others. Better's not the right word. A little bit more successful than others. It's not about being a better person, because all of those traits can be learned and all of those traits can be improved on. All right, so if they don't start like that, they absolutely can get there in the end. What are the three main reasons partners disappear? That was the next question I asked myself when I was putting this training together. So what are the main three reasons that people disappear? And again, you'll have loads of others. You know, I'm not saying this is a know-it-all training at all. This is just from experience. Firstly, I think people sometimes join too quickly. They think it seems like a good idea, but they don't fully understand the concept. They almost think, you know, they're just going to sit at home, pay their £10, and then people are going to line up outside their front door, knock on the door and say, can I be a customer? And when they realise that's not the case, and that they don't get given leads, and that they have to go and find their own people, they basically get cold feet about having to do the work. All right. So remember, if you have to persuade someone to join, you will have to persuade them to go to work. So persuading someone to join is not a good idea. Give them enough information and show them the vision so they want to join, not because you're persuading them to join. All right. So again, that goes back a step really to how you're bringing these people in. If you persuade them to join, you're going to have to persuade them to do something, and that's never good. So number one is just they get cold feet. They haven't understood the concept of it. They suddenly think, oh God, I thought this was going to be easy, and it actually looks like it might be quite hard work. And they just disappear before you've even had a chance to coach them, before you've even had a chance to help them. I'm sure some of you resonate with this. If you've had this before, feel free to put it in the chat if that sounds familiar to you and you go, oh, okay. So maybe then you need to go back a step and just make sure that you're giving them a little bit more education before they join. All right. So they understand a bit more what the process is, because it's just a waste of everyone's time otherwise. Number two reason, and this is absolutely happens all the time, is they join and they're really excited. They're super excited. And when they're being recruited, and I know I was like this, I thought everybody on my list is bound to want to become a customer and a partner, because why wouldn't they? Because I've just seen this most amazing opportunity. So we think that they're going to do really well. We tell them, oh my God, you know loads of people, you're going to be amazing, you're going to absolutely smash this business. They're super excited, but what they do is they run around and go and start telling people before they've had any level of training. So what happens then is they come across a dream stealer. So I'm sure you all know what a dream stealer is, but they go and speak to someone. They're all really, really excited. They're absolutely thinking that this is it. They can retire, you know, they can start booking their cruise around the world. And then someone says to them, that sounds like a load of rubbish. That sounds like a pyramid scheme to me. That sounds really dodgy. You paid £10 to join that. Oh, look, I've just done a Google review and the company's got a bad review. So, you know, I think you better leave it. And sadly, they listen to that one person who has no education about our industry or our company, that one person who's probably sitting on the sofa moaning about not having any money, and they listen to that one person rather than letting you take them step by step into success. How many people reckon that's happened before? 100%. And the sad thing is, they've just gone in a puff of smoke. You know, by the time that's happened, it's very hard to bring them back. You can rescue it, but it's hard to bring it back. Jenny, that's brilliant. Well done. So whoever, Jenny, well done. Jenny's put on here that happened to her, but she ignored them. Yes, and I've got some fantastic team members who absolutely did ignore the dream stealer, and they're still here. So, you know, well done if that's you, and we're going to help you with that in a minute. The other third reason that people don't get started is a very simple one and so common. How many people have signed up a partner and then suddenly they have a family member pass away? You know, it's genuine. They genuinely have a family member pass away, or they suddenly get made redundant, or they suddenly get their notice on their property and they have to move house or whatever. So basically what happens is life happens. Life happens and they haven't made UW a priority. They think UW is a sort of nice to have, not a need to have. They don't understand the true opportunity in it, so they just put the business down. And then they say, oh, I'll pick it back up next month. And then they get a little bit tired with all the notifications in the WhatsApp group because it's a bit busy, so they come out of the WhatsApp group. And then they come out of the Facebook group, and then they stop answering your calls because it all just looks a little bit busy and a bit overwhelming, and life's just happened. Okay, and I'm sure some of you have had that happen as well. I always say, oh my goodness. And in fact, quite funny, I haven't got this in my notes, but I know that I've even warned people about that before. I've said, all right, you've joined this business. What's probably going to happen in the next week, and I hate to say this, is something's going to happen to try and drag your attention away from it. Please, whatever happens over, in your life in the next week, just give me a couple of hours and let me help you get started. All right? Because again, if you can preempt all of these things, and actually pre-warn the person that all of these things might happen, you are actually helping them with their resilience. You're building them a little bit of armor around them so that then they are more likely to be able to cope with it. Right. Okay. Is that all making sense so far? Yes. And again, there's lots and lots of other reasons, of course, why people might not get going in the business. But I think, they are the main ones really, and they're the ones that crop up time and time and time again. So I'm just going to go through now quite a long list of things that you can do to help protect them from that, help them get going. And, once we've gone through this list, and I've talked briefly about the Academy, I am going to then get you all back together on the screen and, we can have a conversation about it because there might well be other situations that you need help with. All right. So I'm just going to go through this list now. So number one is, and this is sort of, I could say fairly obvious, but it might not be, is before they join. So, in your recruiting conversations, really try hard to build that rapport properly. Now, I know, again, it depends whether you know them or not. You're going to have to just trust me on a scale of knowing them not at all to them being your best mate. There's obviously going to be different ways that you would approach this. But it's still really important that you can share your vision, your belief, your confidence in the company. You can get good at telling them stories and, sharing with them other people's successes. That's where things like our UW stories are amazing, because if you find what they do, or you might know what they do, you can then give them some social proof that other people like them have made a success of the business. So this could be before they join, it could be straight after they've joined, but that conversation to really try and help them understand what they've got their hands on is a really important one, but without looking like it's a cult and you're trying to brainwash them. You've got to be realistic about it and just tell them what the opportunity is about. Get really good at managing objections. I did quite a bit about managing objections in the other training, but that whole, if you really think someone could be amazing at this and they're doing the whole, I haven't got time. That's a really typical one, isn't it? That people will say, I like the sound of it, but I just don't have time. Remember the feel, felt, found, which is amazing for any objection you come across. So I would simply say, I know how you feel. I totally felt the same way because when I first joined, I was working 60, 70 hours a week. I was a mum. I really didn't have time to do anything else at all. However, what I realized was if you want things to change, you've got to be prepared to change some things. And if I didn't do something different, I was going to end up working all those hours for the rest of my life. And I was too tired to do that. All right. So feel, felt, found, whatever the objection is, you can use that as a really, really powerful one. Now, the other thing is before they join or as they join, they want you to tell them that you can take them step by step from where they are now to where they want to be. People like that step-by-step approach. Another reason people leave the business is because they become completely overwhelmed by everything that we throw at them in those first few days. All right. So that's also really important, that you find out a little bit more about them, you find out what they can cope with, what they, how much information they want. But generally speaking, the best way to get a partner going is to just give them the next step. Okay, and then the next step, and then the next step. Don't try and give them everything at once. Many years ago, my recruiting style was very much, this is going to be fun, come and join us, we're having a bit of a party, it's all great, and I'm going to help you. And a few of my early team members then received a very long, very detailed email from someone in my upline, and that actually put them off completely, because I remember them ringing me up and saying, you told me this is going to be easy and fun. I've just seen all of these things that I've got to do, and I'm out. I can't do it. So just be aware of that, particularly if you are an upline and you're trying to really help and build your team and encourage and everything. Just be careful that you don't overwhelm people as they come in. Okay, so that's sort of step number one, really. Just try and get them, manage their expectations, but also try and really give them your vision and your belief and lend your belief to them so that they're happy to work with you. Number two, as soon as they join, warn them about the dream stealers. So literally have that conversation and say, please don't go and start speaking to everybody just yet. Let's just get you through your first bit of training, because I'm going to help you with exactly what to say. All right. So that's really important, that they don't, come off the phone to you. They sign up and then immediately they go out, as we said earlier, start running around all excited, talking to people in the wrong way, and then get the business stolen from them. All right. So warn them about that. Just say, look, just let me help you. Number three, this is super, super important, is to have the next meeting in the diary straight away. So I'm going to share a few different things that we do now, but you can or cannot adopt those. It's entirely up to you. But it is important that you have the next meeting in the diary. By the next meeting, I mean either the fast start, if you're going to do it with them on a one-to-one basis, and or going through the customer presentation with them to get them signed up as a customer. Or even if they can't be a customer, I would still have a training session in the diary to go through the customer presentation to show them how it all works, because often that helps them be much more confident about booking their first appointment. But in an ideal world, that next meeting needs to be within the first 24 hours of them joining. All right, so 24 hours of them joining. If they're keen and they want to get started, you don't want to be saying, well, actually, I'm really busy now for a week. Can we do your fast start a week on Tuesday? You will lose them in that time. As my good friend Claire Hingot says, a new partner is like a loaf of bread. As every day goes past, it gets staler and staler. All right, so you don't want a stale loaf of bread to be working with. You want a nice, fresh, warm, out of the oven loaf of bread to be working with. So the way to do that is to make sure that the next step is in the diary. Okay, so the next step is planned. And ideally, you want to be doing those things that are going to help excite them and bulletproof them and build their belief within the first 24 hours. If you're leaving it 3 or 4 days before you welcome them to the team and all the other things I'm going to talk about now, you've probably lost 50% of the people you're trying to work with. Unless, of course, they say to you, I've just signed up, but I'm working flat out now, Monday to Friday. Can we do it Friday night? Of course, it's their business. So yes, you would do that, but you would still make sure you have the dream stealer conversation and the conversation about, just don't share it yet. Let's just leave it till then. See if you can get the online training done, etc. Step 4 is obviously the online training. So I've put the online training not as that first step, because there's a few things you need to do before you say just do the online training, in terms of getting their head in the right place and getting that next meeting in the diary. The online training now is obviously super simple, isn't it? It's 20 minutes long. And I hear some partners say, and again, if it works for them, that's fine. This is only my opinion, that some people say, I'm not going to do anything with them until they do their online training. Because if they can't be bothered to even watch 4 videos, then they're not committed. That's not necessarily true. There are some people that just don't get on with portals and online training and things like that. But I tell you what, if they sign up a customer with you and you tell them they won't get paid until they do their online training, they will suddenly do their online training. All right. So the online training, yes, we want them to do it within 7 days so we get our achiever point. Let's face it, everyone, that's what everyone's thinking about. But think about what's best for them. If they haven't done their training, despite you asking them a couple of times, I would go into then coaching them how to get that first appointment in the diary. All right, because they want to see the money. And if they have some success, they'll do their training. Number 5. So this is something that we've started doing in the team now, because we are trying to scale things up, and we do have in some months, most months, a lot of new people joining. So what I did find was we started off trying to do the one-to-one fast starts with everybody. And because the team was recruiting fast and some of the new team were recruiting fast, it was coming down to sort of the leaders then to be doing the fast starts. And actually, we didn't have enough time, it was becoming quite time consuming. So what we did then was we started doing weekly fast starts, at the same time, or maybe one every other day and things like that at different times to try and get as many people onto a fast start as quick as possible. And that worked quite well. However, there were still people whose those times didn't work for. So there were still people that were slipping through the net that hadn't had a fast start training, and they were maybe in the business a week and you could see they were already going a bit cold. So what I've done for the team, and I'm very happy to share this video with you, it won't really be relevant for you to use it because it's very branded Unstoppables, unless of course you are in my team, which of course you can, and you do anyway. But I just put together a sort of 20-minute fast start training. So with some slides, it's a video, it's a YouTube video. Obviously it talks to them about their list, it talks to them about the potential, it talks about how much they can earn, and it coaches them a little bit on getting that first appointment in the diary. The good thing about it is it actually sets them a few little tasks, so you actually know if they've watched it or not, because if they've watched it, they need to send you their list of their first 6 names, they need to share their story with you, and they need to share how much they want to earn in the first month. So what I do now is, the process is recruit them, have the conversation, get the meeting in the diary to do the customer sign up bit, but before that, send them the fast start video. So if they're keen, they can do their online training and watch the fast start video in that first crucial 24 hours. All right. And then they've got a lot more information as well before they start booking in calls. So, this is, as I said, everything I talk about tonight is just what we've trialed, and, a lot of it works. You're all at different stages in your business. If you've only got 1 or 2 partners still and you're just getting started, then I would definitely do them on a one-to-one basis if you can, because it's a great way of rapport building. It's a great way of you skilling up and practicing your skills and everything else. But if you're trying to scale up and you're trying to build quicker, then it absolutely works to have some sort of video system in place as well. You could always do both. The point is, if it's still important to get that Zoom meeting or conversation booked in for as soon as possible. But if they've already done their fast start training before you have that conversation, then it's even better, really, because then you can really do a proper coaching call, which I come on to in a minute, about how to get that first appointment in the diary. Okay, I hope you're all keeping up. I hope that makes sense. So that was number 5. So I've got 1, before they join, share your vision. Number 2, dream stealer warning. Number 3, get the next meeting in the diary. Number 4, online training. Number 5, consider a fast start video if your timings don't match up, or get them to see that fast start as soon as possible. Number 6, I have simply written here in my notes, welcome to the family. So what I mean by that is to arrange for them to have a welcome call. So if you are just in the business, quite new in the business, if you're not yet team leader in the business and you recruit somebody, I would be reaching out upline, if you have a nice friendly upline, to give your new partner a welcome call within the first 24 to 48 hours if possible. If you are team leader and above in the business and you have new partners joining your business, and especially if they're being recruited by people that are not very confident yet, you really need to pick up the phone and do that welcome call to your team. Everybody that joins your team is your team. All right. It doesn't matter whether you've recruited them or whether they're on level 33 in your business. I'm not quite that deep yet, level 20, whatever. But it doesn't matter where they are. That person needs to be welcomed into the team properly. And again, the value of having another conversation is because it's social proofing again. They're going to hear somebody else who's building the business. And in that call, the welcome call, if you're making the welcome call, it's not about beating them up because they haven't done their training yet. All right. The welcome call is literally just to find out a little bit about them, find out where they live, why they've joined, how you can help them, and just be there as another friendly, supporting person. All right. So, obviously, if they haven't done their training yet, you could just say, how have you got on with your training? Oh, I haven't done it yet. That's fine. When are you going to plan on doing it, etc., etc. But it is just an absolute welcome to the team. At that point, you're then going to add them into your WhatsApp groups or group. Be careful with too many WhatsApp groups. So what we do now for most new partners, and again, this is something you can adopt if you want to, depending where you are, what level you are in the business, is we have a little pod for each new partner. So it's like a support group. So I'm calling them UW Support to QD Star. And that would be the new person, the recruiter, and maybe one other person in their upline, and then me if I need to be in there. All right. So it's about creating a little support pod. And then in that support pod, you can then, help that person put in any videos or trainings that are relevant and encourage them to put their appointments in there when they start booking appointments so that you can then make sure they get support. In terms of supporting them in their appointments, if you've got people within your team who are only on about 6 customers and they start recruiting, again, this is just my opinion, shoot me down if you want to, but what I would be saying to that person that recruited them, would you like me to support them in just a couple while you do a couple more appointments on your own? Because I think going straight from being supported to supporting is too big a jump. You need to have that confidence of signing up a few customers on your own. So I try and encourage people not to support until they're on 10 customers. So they've done those 4 signups between 6 and 10 on their own. That can't be enforced, by the way. And some people who just get it and they're really switched on, again, Sully's an example. He was supporting straight away after 6, and doing an amazing job. So some people will be fine. But if you have a bit of a doubt about it, then a bit of leadership there, if you're building your team, it's okay to go in and have that conversation. All right. But obviously then give the option to support to the next person in the upline. Don't be the person that's trying to steal all the supported appointments off your team. Just saying that because, it's tempting, isn't it? When you've got points and money are on the table, but always give it the opportunity to somebody else to help them grow. Okay. If that will help and help them as well. Okay, I think that bit is fairly self-explanatory. Right, so number 7, coaching call. I've just put coaching call down here. So this is about now really digging deep and helping them and making sure they get that first appointment in the diary. All right, and getting the first appointment in the diary is probably the most key part to helping a partner get started and helping your business grow. If you have people that never get that first appointment in the diary, then you need to be asking yourself why. If you're new on here and you haven't yet got your first appointment in your diary and you're just getting started, please ask for help. Go to your upline, find out what you're doing or let them know what you're doing. Work on your story, work on your messaging, work on what you're saying to people. And if you're bringing people in, you need to get good at coaching them to get that first appointment in, even if it means encourage them to make a call while you're with them, or a 3-way call, however you need to do that. We all know that speaking to people is still more effective than messaging. Yeah, I would say 90% of people now when they start just do the whole sending text messages out. If you can encourage that person without sending them into freak out zone to actually pick up the phone, make the call, book the appointment in, you're much more likely to have success. Saying that, it's better for them to message than do nothing. But try and, stay with them until that first bit of success comes back. All right. And they get that appointment booked, because then you can get started. Number 8 is to consider a business launch. So a business launch would be when you say to that new partner, right, what time suits you? Let's do a Zoom together where we get as many of your contacts onto that Zoom as possible. And I will present the business for you to them all. So that could be using like the info slides. It could be using the ops slides. By the way, we should have new ops slides apparently next week, new branded and all that. Or you could just use the normal presentation. It's fine either way. If you use the normal presentation, you can go right through and show them the sign up procedure. Obviously, if there's multiple people on a call, you're probably not going to actually sign them up as customers on that call. However, with the amazing new quote system now, if you get them to the point of real interest and they understand the concept and you've had a really good conversation about cashback card and all the different offers, they could simply just send their address to the new person. The new person can create quotes for them and then be followed up. All right. So you all know the new save and share. So I'm just trying to help you build speed in your business. And obviously anything you can do to leverage your time and be showing to multiple people, the quicker you're going to build. If you're just getting started, the one-to-one stuff is important because that's how you're going to learn your skills and your confidence. If your business is at a slightly bigger stage now, ask yourself the question, how can I leverage my time? How can I get the business in front of more people every single day? And a business launch is a really good way of doing that. Mark and Angela D'Souza, National Group Leaders, I know that they really built their business around business launches. That was face-to-face ones. That's actually getting people around your house. And again, there's no reason why you can't do that. If people want to get people together, you could still be on the screen. It's not going to be hundreds of people. You could still be there if you remotely, even if they're face-to-face, and present the business. What that does as well is it gives the new partner an opportunity to tell their story, to have a real natural conversation about why they've joined, why they're excited, what they saw about the business. And, maybe there'll be another experienced partner on as well that could share their story. So it's about getting a few testimonials in there that will really help with that business launch. Right, how are we doing? A few more. We're doing all right. Okay, so number 9, teach them the concept of having 5 appointments in their diary at all times. All right, and are you working to that concept? Do you have 5 appointments in your diary all the time? And if you don't, then let's work on that. Okay, because that's how you're going to build your confidence, build your business, and earn some money. Okay, number 10, feedback. Be prepared to give and receive. Yes, Becky, I will share that fast start video into the leadership group, and I can share it on the email. Actually, I'm quite happy for people to see it. That's fine. Feedback. So after appointments, after sending texts, after making calls, constantly asking for feedback, giving feedback, coaching. It's an ongoing thing. Introducing people to the concept of no for now is really important. So, if you're doing a supported appointment, they have their first no. It's really important you take the time then to have a proper conversation about no for nows and how no for nows will build their list in the future. Sully getting to team leader today was as a result of a no for now for 3 years from the person I recruited. Okay, so no for nows are powerful. We want no's now because they'll be yeses later. They help you build your list. So it's really about getting people's head around that. If you think the book Go for No would help them, then obviously whatever. I've also said at this point, this is your introduction to them to personal development. So your first conversation might be about no for now, and that might then lead to a conversation about mindset, about how important it is to be resilient and how important it is to bounce back from rejection, and then recommend them a book. I've just written here, Prepare for Takeoff by Steph Longworth. Brilliant first book, for people, because obviously it is about the business as well. So there's loads of books. I mean, there's so many wonderful, wonderful books. But if you had to choose one to put in people's hands to start with, it makes sense to give them one that will actually teach them how to build the business as well. And another thing you could send to them, so very easy and free as well, is that Jim Rohn Building Your Network Marketing Business. Okay, that's another great way of helping them to understand the concept of network marketing. If you're on here and you're new, or you're watching this on catch up and you're new, just go to YouTube and put in Jim Rohn Build Your Network Marketing Business. It's about an hour long. Listen to it. When I joined, it was a CD in the big box that we got delivered when we joined, but we did pay £200 to join, not a tenner. We got lots of stuff delivered, and that CD was in there. And I listened to it over and over and over again. And I still listen to it regularly now. And it's so good for getting your mind around the whole concept of no. Number 11, money. I've just written money because they joined for money. So make sure they understand the money, make sure you set clear money goals, make sure they understand about the first bonus, and most of all, make sure you help them earn some. All right, getting money into their pocket and their first commission statement landing is the absolute best way to keep them in. So if they haven't earned any money, then that's when you're going to start to lose people. That's when you're going to have to work a bit harder on their belief and everything else on their activity to try and get them in. But if you can get money in their bank in the first 30 days, then you've got a partner that's there. Okay, I've got 3 more. Are you all right? Are you keeping up? I want to finish this. I always try and finish within an hour. We've only got 10 minutes, but we've got 3 more bits, and then I'm just going to talk very quickly about the academy, and then I'll ask if anyone's got any questions. So Number 12, help them with their chicken list. I talked about chicken list on my team meeting last night. Chicken list is that list of people that they don't feel they want to ring, but they're probably some of the best prospects they've got. All right, so help them with that. Offer to call them. Do whatever's needed to get in front of that chicken list. Number 13, do whatever you can to get them in a room with people. Okay, face to face, local buzz, local training, definitely booking the next big event. We know the power of being in a room, so don't underestimate that. A great day out. I'm doing it on June the 2nd. Is, Steve Quitchley does the regular days at head office as well, once a month. So that's a really good idea, is to get your team to that, or arrange to meet people. I've actually got a little group from North London, and we're meeting up that day. The dog's just got his leg wrapped around my light, which might fall off the table, but anyway, I'll carry on for a minute. So number 14, sort of the last one really, is just talking about introducing the incentives as well. Just make sure that people understand what else is on the table for them. All right, in terms of free energy club, obviously holiday incentives, cars, all of that, because you never know what will keep people in. Sometimes it's not the money. It could be the friendships, it could be the community, it could be the incentives. All right, it could be just having that reward. Recognition keeps people in. So I haven't even mentioned that. There we are. Number 15. I've just added 15. Make sure you do plenty of recognition with these new people. Not just recognizing them for signing up a customer, but recognizing them for doing their training, for getting the first appointment in the diary. Whatever it is, make sure that you're rewarding them for that. But most importantly, going back to what I said a minute ago, it's about doing things one step at a time. All right. So it's about making sure that you are working the business at their speed. Okay. That you're not going to make them rush or do anything. Just bear with me a second. He has just caught himself up in the wire of my lamp. My dog is under the table. Oh. It's all right. I've rescued him. So it is about doing things one step at a time, and a really good way of thinking about the new partner and the speed that they want to go. And I've stolen this off somebody. I think it was Sam Earnshaw actually that I first heard say this, but I really like it. It's basically saying to the new partner, if you want to walk, I'll walk with you. Okay. If you want to run, I'm going to run with you. But if you don't want to do anything, I'm not going to drag you. All right. Because ultimately this is about their business. It's their speed. And, while we want it sometimes more for them than they want it for themselves, we have to be careful that we don't put the wrong sort of pressure on. Ultimately, they are independent distributors. They are adults, because you have to be over 18 to join the business. It can feel like herding cats because everybody's a volunteer and you want them to do what you want them to do and they don't want to do it or whatever. But remember, it's just a process. And if you want to build a really big business, at the end of the day, if it's to be, it's up to me. All right, that's another Steph Longworth quote, meaning that it is about finding the aces. All right, so you are going to recruit people that don't do anything, even if you follow everything I've just told you to the T. Even if you're bursting with belief and confidence yourself, some people are still going to join and not do anything. And you have to just accept that that is the way it is. Keep the door open, but keep looking for your aces. Keep talent spotting. Find the people that do want it and spend the most of your time working with them. As I said, always keep the door open to everybody. Always tell everyone you're going to be there for them whenever they decide to pick it up. But if now's not the time for them, go and work with the ones that want it, because that's how you're going to create more momentum in your business. Okay, I hope that's been a helpful 50 minutes. There's a lot of talking. I'm going to have a quick drink before I go on to the next bit. So, ultimately, the only difference between you and the most successful people in the business is you. I hate to say it. Sorry, it's harsh, but it's true. And I know, having worked with, hundreds of partners over the years and hundreds of people actually riding horses before that, that mindset is the most important thing. Working on yourself is the most important part of this business, because you might be on here and think, I do all of that. I do all of the things that Celia's already said. I recruit loads of people, but it's still not working for me. You might be thinking, I go to all the 20Ks, I do all the neighbour letters, I'm on every training, but it's still not working for me. And sadly, the reason for that is because you're not operating at your full potential. You are basically operating with a chain around your neck, because you will have blocks, self-sabotaging beliefs, limiting beliefs, lack of confidence, stuff creeping in from your previous life, that little voice in your head, you're never going to be any good, from school and all of that stuff. You're going to have all of this stuff in your head that people will be able to see it and read it, because we are all connected. Sorry, I'm going to go a bit woo-woo on you now because I've got my manifesting head on, but we are all connected energetically, and people can absolutely feel your fear. All right. They feel your frustration. They feel your lack of belief. They feel your desperation. Like I said, being starving is not a good look. And if you're so desperate to make this work, and and you're working from a place of scarcity and not a place of abundance, you'll be repelling people, not attracting them. So that's the main reason why I started doing sort of my other coaching stuff. And particularly something called the Unstoppable Academy, which I set up beginning of the year. We've just finished the third lot of people. I've just gone through it, and again, amazing feedback. And I'm starting it again in June. So I just wanted to offer you the opportunity to that. I know some of you on here have already signed up for it. If you've been in the academy before and you're on here, if you want to just stick something in the chat about it, because some people will be thinking what this is about. But basically, it's about creating a winning mindset. It's about learning to attract success through manifesting and through really making sure that you keep your energy in a good place. It's eliminating all those self-sabotaging beliefs and limiting beliefs about you. But it's also more than that. It's also about building a really good social media presence. It's about content. It's about connecting with your audience, building your audience better. And ultimately, it's about leaning into leadership as well. So it's a 12-week program. I am going to email you all details about that with the recording of this. So if anyone's got any questions about that, let me know. And I have just clicked the link into the chat as well, so you can click on there and that'll give you more information on it as well. Right, I'm now going to attempt to remove my spotlight. There we go. Hello everyone, are you all still awake? Yeah, some people are. Hello, Janice. I haven't seen you for ages. Hello. It's funny when you do this, isn't it? Hi, Tracy. How are you? Good evening. Good evening. Nice to see you. So has anybody got any questions about any of the stuff that we've covered this evening? I know you're probably just all a bit gobsmacked and got sore hands from writing a lot, but if you've got anything at all that you'd like to ask, please feel free.
I've got one, Celia. When you were saying earlier on about sort of if they can't do their fast start kind of within the first 48 hours or something for perfectly genuine reasons,
yeah,
and they can't do it until Friday or Monday or whatever, is it better actually to put off registering them until then, or do you think you might lose them?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't put off registering. I would definitely get them signed up. Okay, so if they're ready to sign up and they want to start, get them started, and then I would make sure that I just had a really good conversation with them, talking a little bit about dream stealers. Wait till the training. You're busy now, so don't fret about the business. Don't be overwhelmed. Let's just wait till then. If in the meantime you've got time, and what I might do is just drip feed them a couple of little fun things to watch and listen, a bit of motivational stuff or whatever, just to sort of keep them in the right mindset. But if they're adamant that they can't actually do the fast start till then, as I've said, what I would do is send them my video, because it's only 20 minutes long. And, most people can find 20 minutes. Even though they might not have the hour for the Zoom call.
But they've probably already seen something like that, though.
No, not that video. I mean, my fast start video.
Oh, your fast start video.
Yeah. I would send them the fast start and just say, look, just in case you get time, watch this, but I'll still look forward to speaking to you on Friday.
Yeah, okay.
And then when you speak to them on Friday, you can then sort of pick up and you can find out what they have seen, what they do know, and you can take it from there. That's what I would probably do.
Thanks.
Hazel, my darling, did you have a question?
Hi, lovely. Yeah, I did. Thank you. I was sorry for being a couple of minutes late, but it's because I was doing a fast start plan. So
Yay! I didn't notice you were late because I had my lovely Annette on the co-hosting. I didn't notice you slipped in, and I didn't even notice. So there we are.
that's all right. I didn't quite finish. I'm going back after, but this is super, super helpful. You were talking about the pods for the for newbies. Well, I've got it in my notes now. We put them in the pod. Do you tend to put them in the main group as well as having the pod?
Thank you, Hazel. I meant to say that. I do actually, but only if I've had a conversation with them and they're happy to go in the two groups.
Of
Yeah.
course.
So if
Fine.
they're, yeah, I do, because I think the main group, in fact, my main group is very well behaved. I have a very well behaved team. They're not naughty at all. They're absolutely brilliant. So the main group is just really trainings, sort of suggesting good trainings, what's happening that day, recognition. And what's good about the main group, I think, is welcoming the new people in. So I think because people see people joining, again, it's a bit of social proof, and it makes them realise that it's not just them that have joined this week. So that is a good thing. If you have a very busy main group, or you have any negativity in your main group, do not put them in there. But on that note, if you have any negativity in your main group, stamp on it very quickly and explain. So what I do with that, the teacher won't let us misbehave, but absolutely. So if it's not even negative, sometimes someone might put something in there that could be a genuine question, but I always look at it through the eyes of a brand new partner. Yeah. So I always say to myself, if that was the first post I saw in that WhatsApp group, how would that make me feel? And the truth is, some new partners are looking for a way out. They've joined. That's all right, Jeremy. Thanks for joining us. See you later. They've joined because, well, they've joined for whatever reason, but then they're feeling nervous and they've already started to talk themselves out of it. And if they see one slightly negative thing, like my nanny's broadband was a day late going live, we always use that one sort of tongue in cheek, but it's true. It could be enough for them to say, "Oh, great, this business doesn't work. I can leave." All right. So, as leaders, all I do is I contact the person. Paul knows, I think I've done this to him. That's why he said the head teacher won't let us pay. And I just contact them and I say, I know that you didn't mean that in any negative way at all, but can you just imagine it through the eyes of a new partner? And, that could be enough to put them off. And you only have to say that to people a couple of times and then they get it, and you don't get that. So I always say to people, come to me direct. If you've got problems, don't share it. Don't share it publicly just because of those new people.
Well, thank you.
That's all right. Thank you, Hazel. Anyone else got anything they'd like to ask before we wrap up?
Annette's hand is up.
Oh, Annette, darling, yes.
Yeah. Talking about step by step, which I very much reassure people we go step by step. But what some of the people come across that they want to know everything before they, they won't sort of almost go step by step. They want to know it all, you know what I mean? Before they take, do you see what I'm saying? Before they take action.
Yeah, and those people are lovely. So what I do with them is I have another training called Getting to QD Star and Beyond. Okay, so I would send that to them. I'd send them the compensation plan. I'd send them the opportunity booklet. I'd show them where the tools are, and I would absolutely help them run. So that's when I said, I'll walk with you if you walk and I'll run with you if you run. So if you have someone that really wants to get on with it, absolutely, run with them and let them get on with it. And,
brilliant.
That's 100% a good person to have. So I wouldn't worry about that because they're showing you that they're not overwhelmed and they just want to get cracking. So that's brilliant. Yeah, lovely. Anybody else? Yes, Julia. Hello.
Hello there. At what stage do you introduce personal development? You mentioned about the Jim Rohn CD, but how soon are you encouraging them to buy books or what sort of things?
Yeah, so I sort of said quite early on, you're going to start talking about it. And I would very much encourage them to get their first book, or their first bit of personal development. That was sort of point 10 when I was talking about feedback and explaining about the no for now. So ideally in that first week, 2 weeks, depends how quickly they're going to get to that. That's all right, Lainey. Bye nice to see you. I would try and get them to do something as soon as possible, but it might just be recommending. See, personal development is just learning, isn't it? It's just growth. So it's talking about all the trainings that are available on the portal. Personal development can be just listening to something from the portal as well. So just try and signpost them to some really simple stuff to begin with. That's what I would probably do.
Okay.
Hazel, yes?
Yeah, sorry, didn't wish to dominate. Newbie is quite young, still lives with parents, can't have their own account. Lots of their mates and lots of people they know are either living with parents or tenants. do you then focus on working referrals with them? Like, what's the best way to get money in their pocket fast?
Yeah, I would obviously, if we can show the parents and get them on board, that's the ideal thing. It doesn't always happen, I know, but if we can, that's great. Really, with them, you do really need to go through their list with them properly, because they often say, oh, I don't know anyone, blah, blah, blah. But actually, they have got a family member or somebody that will let them do that practice. But you probably got to go through the list in a bit more detail with them. I would definitely consider a business launch and get all their mates onto a business launch, because obviously you're going to be recruiting them rather than customers, but that's how they're going to build. They're probably going to build more through recruiting at that stage than they are through going to get lots of customers. And then talk to them about their social media, as well, because obviously young people are on social media. So that's all right, Aunt Jacob. Really, again, you're going to have to get a bit quicker into coaching them about what to do on their social media as well, how to be promoting the business opportunity on there. A lot of them will be quite happy to go and do a TikTok video or something, so I think it's making them feel that there is an abundance of people to talk to. That's the important thing, that they don't start to think that they're in scarcity from day one just because they don't pay bills themselves, because it's not true. It's just about them opening their mind to all the different ways that we can do it, and very much going through all the different steps, all the different ways they can gather customers and see which one works for them best. Get them good at connectors. I would really be talking to them about connectors.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Annette, thank you. Anybody else got anything else? Yes, Aileen, hello.
Yeah, hello. Yes, young people, because I have one recently joined, and it crossed my mind exactly that. There is extra support, isn't there, for young people? And I can't just think who provides it.
James Thomas, actually, his name's in the chat. I think he run quite a young person's group, and there is someone else that does a WhatsApp group. Annette, do you know who's got the young
used to, and Dan, but now there is fairly recently they've set up it'll be on the forum, the general forum.
Yeah,
because there was something fairly recently about getting that restarted, because let's look at James.
Yeah.
Look at that, Dan.
Absolutely. So, no, that's fine. And again, that is something that we can sort of look at putting together as well, so definitely bear that in mind, everybody. No, that's fantastic. Okay, everyone. I hope that you all found that useful. You will get an email probably tomorrow morning with this recording and the recording of the other masterclass as well that I did a couple of months ago, which was more about recruitment and stuff. So watch that. And also I will put the link in there to the Academy. If anyone's got any questions about that, it starts on June the 9th. It is limited spaces. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to work with the next group. And thank you very, very much for joining us this evening. Lovely to see you all. Have a lovely rest of the evening. Make sure you make it count, because you're never going to get tonight back. So do something nice.
Thank you, Celia.
See you all soon.
All
right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.